Okay, so thank you very much for joining, Madam Laili. As you know, my name is Mohammed Dia. I'm the account manager for Elsevier in the Gulf. Joined today with my colleague, the product sales manager for EMEALA 3D4Medical, Lorenzo Fabri. And he's going to be presenting to you one of Elsevier's state-of-the-art anatomy platforms. I believe you already have a running trial on that. 3D4Medical has been acquired very recently, to end of 2019, by Elsevier, and I will let Lorenzo take you through the platform and a demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed, and thank you everyone for joining this meeting, where we will go through the features of this platform that Mohammed was just mentioning. So, first of all, let me start with a presentation, just an introduction about what we're going to view today. So, as Mohammed said, it is quite a recent acquisition of this platform from Elsevier. 3D4Medical is an Irish company. It was a startup that launched 5 years ago an app. So today we will talk about a software that it is used successfully by millions of people around the globe. So the reason why it is quite popular, this app, is the fact that there are many challenges today in the anatomy education. And the challenges are somehow related to various reasons. First of all, because we have realized that there is a decline in the understanding of anatomy. So just to compare, it was mentioned about how we are having new parameters in teaching medicine. Compared to 40, 50 years ago, the curriculum for anatomy, it is average in the world 160 hours. Compared to the 350 that we had 40 years ago. So this means that there is an impact in the time allocated from students to study anatomy. And this has serious consequences. Another reason is the fact that the practice of dissection, it is less popular. So we have shortage of cadavers for various reasons all over the world. Then we have also the most important, one, which is also reflecting on other solution that the same Elsevier is studying, is the evolution of student needs. So the education methodology have changed. Of course, as we can see here in this icon, students want to have everything in their pocket. They want to have everything available 24/7. That can enable them to understand exactly what they need to learn. And then, of course, and this is a little bit part of the emergency we have in the last year, but it was a trend even before the pandemics, is the need of remote teaching. So remote teaching actually, and unfortunately, it is something that it is quite demanded, but in general, remote teaching was a need that it was quite urgent to requested by students in general. So, having said all of that, and considering that Elsevier is the publisher already of the most important textbooks of anatomy, like the Gray, like the Atlas of Netters, Bota, and so on, still Elsevier perceived the need of evaluating a 3D anatomy platform, because there are different advantages in using these kind of platforms. The first of these is the fact that these kind of platforms are enabling faster and more comprehensive understanding of anatomy. The reason is that these platforms are enabling people to understand spatial relationship, because they have the possibility to zoom in, zoom out, rotate, select different systems, and correlate one with the other. And this is quite important whenever you have the majority of structures, but especially when you need to have to understand complex structures that in 2D tables are not really easy to figure out how they are related one with the other. Also, but not all platforms are doing this, it's the fact that these platforms often are enabling people to understand how these structures are performing, how are moving, and so they are going beyond the pure anatomy, entering other areas of physiology and so on. Then the fact that we have all this possibility using these kind of platforms, they are making them a sort of digital alternative to cadaveric materials or complementary part, because easily you can have these, I would say, features used in different phases whenever you want to simulate a dissection. You can see here on the top how you can build in our platform in Complete Anatomy an association of imaging that are already present in our institutional courses, how you can also project with the augmented reality structures beyond the screen that you are using, or how you can apply certain images during the dissection itself. And of course, all of these are meeting the needs of students, but also the educators, which maybe are less, I would say, eager to have this implementation applied, but of course, due to the current needs of remote teaching, are also quite pushed to go to this kind of evolution. So what we've seen here, it is in general what it is needed by a 3D platform, but Complete Anatomy, 3D4Medical, it has been considered by Elsevier, and not just by Elsevier, the world's most advanced interactive anatomy learning platform. And there are 5 reasons why this is a statement that it is quite strong. So one of the first reason that we can say it is the best platform, it is considered the content. So it is considered the most accurate and complete human 3D model. Of course, it's not the only one, but the fact that we have more than 17,000 structures that are all described and full of details and correlation, it is giving to us a certain interesting, I would say, first idea of where we are. But what I'm saying is not just the size, which, I mean, it's not the most important part, but it's the fact how it is accurate and how it has been designed. Just to give you an idea, our platform, it is constantly revisited, constantly redesigned. And in the summertime, we relaunched the head and neck section that was taking more than 2 years to be completely redesigned. So the fact that it is the most accurate, this is clearly important, but another part that it is a little bit important is the fact that the technology and the features that we are proposing. We have to bear in mind that before being purchased by Elsevier, 3D4Medical was, but is still a partner of Microsoft and Apple for virtual reality and for other projects that we are currently exploring with these other partners. But in terms of technology, just to give you an idea that we will see, in terms of function, we are the only one that is proposing a beating 3D heart that you can manipulate as you want. Of course, you can see here, this is cut because you can do and practice this section wherever you want. Another part is that our augmented reality that you can see here, it is an augmented reality that it is not a single experience. The most important part of this video is that part, Start Classroom. And Start Classroom, it means that we have a multi-user augmented reality. It means that educators, whenever they are presenting, they can share these descriptions together with the students that are there around in the classroom. So the cross section that we built, as you can see, are of course already prepared. You can see cross section for every structure you can see, but then you can also modify them, creating, associating the system you want and adding and hiding parts that you want to see or you don't want to see to learn exactly what you are trying to understand. Also, in terms of technology, we have very, very detailed micromodels. So we're not, of course, the base, it is the precise anatomy we are presenting, but then we are going a little bit more deep towards histology, toward also cell biology. And having said that, last week we were launching the last release with two new micromodels that are related to the central nervous system as well. So we will see these also later. Another important part and quite unique is the part of the muscle movement. So the movement that you can see here for the majority of our muscles, for all the big movements of the body, it is very active. I mean, it's not just a passive video. We have a lot of videos, but in this case, you can select a specific area, specific muscle, and understand exactly how it is related with the others to perform a certain move. We have seen this in terms of technology, but technology is not limited just to apply on something that it is available for everyone. You have the possibility to edit these materials. So you have the possibility to create the view according what you want to see, not just hiding something that it is already there prepared and that you are just creating as a puzzle. You can really paint the model. And how you can do that through different features we have, and we will see during the demo. First of all, you have the possibility to annotate, not just bidimensionally, but also three-dimensionally. It means that you can apply a sort of tattoo whenever you want to highlight a specific area. In this case, you are cutting, for instance, part of the bone. You can see that the blue arrow, it is bidimensional. Meanwhile, the pink one, it is three-dimensional. We will see during the demonstration. But of course, then you have the most important part is the vertical dissection. So you can really use a scalpel to dissect parts in the areas that you want to cut at the level you want to simulate a real dissection, not just hiding pieces of the anatomy structures you have seen. Then, of course, you can also add labels. In every screen you are creating, you can add the labels that are immediately given to you the info box information, so the details, but you also can custom the labels and you can put also text box to comment, like if it was a PowerPoint, of course, but also you can import images on that. So if you want to compare, for instance, a certain three-dimensional image together with maybe a table that you are studying on a clinical key student, for instance, you can import that image, and you can also create the link from Complete Anatomy to go back to the full description that you can find maybe on the gray anatomy, for instance, or in support, or in some pathology parts. Why I'm saying pathology? Because we can simulate a lot of conditions on the normal anatomy. And this is quite important because a lot of people are thinking that complete anatomy is a tool just for the course of the first or second year when students are learning human normal anatomy. This is quite important for all the pathological conditions that are applied on the anatomy itself. So you can simulate with our platforms a lot of conditions, like simulation of fractures that you can apply on your model, and you can relate. You can select areas of growth that could be masses or plastic or not. You can have areas of calcification like spurs, or you can simulate also our pain conditions that you can have. And this is quite important because it is projecting us all over the career of students and all over the career of professionals. Indeed, a lot of users of Complete Anatomy are not students. We have a lot of professionals that are using Complete Anatomy also to present in congresses, but also to make it easier, the explanation of condition to their patients. So there is a big difference, because if I'm a surgeon and I want to buy online, the app, I can do that, but there is something quite different from what you can see as an institution. One of these things, it is the collection of content library. So institutions that are having access to complete anatomy, they have already a library of material that it is present. So with complete anatomy as a software, you can create the models you want according to the needs. You're studying the mandible, for instance, you can create the vision as you want, and you can save the screen. But at the same time, you can find a lot of screens that have been already prepared, interactive screens, because you can customize them as well by professors that are working in our academic board and that are partnering with us with their institution. We have over 150 hours of lectures and quizzes, which are already prepared. And I'm saying that because it is quite important for the next point, because quizzes are also part of the educational part that it is quite unique of complete anatomy. We have videos, we have a growing portfolio of courses, as I said, courses that are already available, not just for human anatomy, normal anatomy, but also for clinical anatomy. And of course, these courses are also full of clinical videos that you can find. And every institution can create their own courses, and they can import also their videos using complete anatomy, which is not something that you can do with complete anatomy. And for instance, to publish on YouTube if you don't have an institutional license. And of course, this is also maybe related to the technology we were mentioning before. We are quite unique because we have, as I said, launched at the end of the summer last year, new radiology features. So we will go through that also because what we see here, it is not the most recent. As I said, also last week we had new contents, but just to give you an idea, we had imported from Weir and Abrams Atlas and from StatX materials that are correlating the images of radiologists to the three-dimensional models we have. So you can easily explore 5 different kind of images with the three-dimensional model that you can change and as you prefer. So I said that that the library of content, it is an institutional uniqueness, but also the fact that when it is licensed as an institution, it is a true content distribution platform. The reason is that you can share the contents among different groups. If you are an educator, you can assign certain materials to your students, or you can share with other educators. And every profile in the institution can create, save, and share. So also students can share with limited groups of other students. And this is a difference that they cannot do if they are purchasing online by themselves. But then there is a prerogative that it is unique for professors, educators. So uses that have a profile faculty, which is the curriculum manager. And the curriculum manager is enabling professors to create their courses and assign them, and also to evaluate how these courses are followed by their users. All of these, this is quite important. It is available on a single app-based platform, which is quite important because being on a single app-based platform, which is universally available on every device, you can use it on your laptop, or on your on PC, on your mobile, on a tablet. With your own profile, it makes it quite easy to be used depending where you need it. For instance, if I have a lot of time and I want to create an accurate screen with a big with a 27 inches screen that I have here, I will spend a lot of time on my Windows in this case. But at the same time, if I want to show what I created with other colleagues, first of all, I can share this image I have created if I am sharing this in groups. But at the same time, if I want to show them physically when I'm meeting them, I can have it on my tablet or on my on my iPhone, for instance, and I can, of course, share it using from my pocket. So these are just some numbers. As I said, we have more than almost 2 million registered users worldwide. It has been downloaded more than 25 million times, and during the summertime in the US, it has been the second most downloaded medical app during pandemics. And at the moment, and we are talking about an history of 5 years, we have more than 400 universities worldwide that are using complete anatomy with institutional licenses, of course. So we say that Elsevier consider the most interesting platform to be part of its portfolio solution, but it's not just the opinion of Elsevier. Complete anatomy has been considered the best platform in 2019 by the American Association of Anatomists during their annual meeting, chosen as product number 1 for considering different criteria: content, features, teaching tools, and usability. And this is from an anatomist point of view, but also we were also receiving this kind of reward from the Journal of the Medical Library Association, which was doing a comparison a little bit more direct with other commercial players. They published in January 2020 the comparison that they were doing, but also in April they were considering that, and they were still assigning to complete anatomy that kind of position. And this is possible because we have a very strong academic review board. Unfortunately, this slide is not the most recent, but just to give you an idea, I mean, we have professors that are coming from different universities: Harvard, Columbia University, Birmingham, University of California. But also at the moment in this academic review board, we have also Susan Standring, who joined us, and she's the editor-in-chief of the Gray Anatomy as well. So you can imagine that this how it is changing thanks to the integration in Elsevier. So here quickly you can see on the left how people used to learn. Well, I used to learn as well. In that case, I have a similar old copy of the Gray. So how it is possible now on the right to understand the same anatomical structure using motion, adding layers, rotating, and simulating situation that you need a lot of more fantasy on your left, on the traditional books, to understand how this can be related. Of course, what we're saying here, this is just helping the catalysis of learning. So these kind of platforms are enabling the minds of students to understand much faster. But what you can see on the left, of course, with the new digital way to study and have it available, like a clinical key student, for instance, it is still something that it is a pillar of the anatomy education. So section on one side and teacher experience together with books, it is the basic. Platform like Complete Anatomy, it is of course accelerating and making it a little bit more easy to be understood. So having seen this, I think that it is now time to go to Complete Anatomy directly on our app. First of all, if there are any question, Mohamed, please stop me, and if you see any question, I'll be happy to answer.
Sure, I will do that. Please feel free to write in your questions in the chat. If you want to unmute yourself and ask, please feel free to do that as well.
Okay, so this is quite important because this is the app. How you can see, I'm on a Windows 10 environment, but having to mention that you need the first time to download the app, and as you can see, the first step it is downloading on the first device you want to use. So here you have the different links: iPad, Mac, iPhone, Windows 10, Android. So that's the first download you have to do. We have university, just to go maybe to a more technical part, that are saying, oh, we don't want users to go to the web store. So we have the possibility also to install locally, and then users can have it installed from the service of the university in case. But it is also important to see which are the system requirements. Here we have also this page we can share with you, that you need to be sure that you are using the right machine. For instance, on Windows, it works on Windows 10 machine. We had professors say, oh, I have Windows 7, but the problem is that when we launched Complete Anatomy, Windows 7 was not still the system that Microsoft was using. So we are suggesting to university also to create this link to show to users how they have to implement. Before going to the platform, just wanted to show you what are the standard instructions we are giving to our customer. This is University of Johannesburg. They are publishing on the library page the instruction, Student Plus. So for students, this is the instruction to get their profile, their student profile activated. So they have to download. They need to register just the first time. So they have to create their own profile using their domain. And just the first time, they have an activation code, which is unique for their institution, of course. So they can publish it publicly because it is associated to their email domain. And at that point, they can, of course, use it as it is possible with the full features available we can see here. So when you are downloading the first time, no matter if it is Windows, Android, iPad, whatever it is, you will see the same, the same hub, we call it, so the landing page where you're arriving. The difference is that you will see not all the icons available. You will see here, rather than your face or your name, just get, sign in, or it's an invitation to get your profile activated. Of course, it is active if you have a license. Otherwise, you will just have a free trial without all these features. So I showed this for the university. So the first time when you are completing your registration, you need to use your email domain. You have to create a password that is then helping you to use the same credentials on other devices. And just the first time you have to use it here, the code, which can be not necessary if we are also manually registering the students and the professor by ourselves. But it is an option that it is something to be discussed with the institution. So just going straight to the generic part of the platform. What you can see here, the first line, it is the content. So you have an atlas, which is just the folder where you can find all kind of material available in your app. So you have the screens, you have the recordings, you have the quizzes, the questions that are coming from the courses that are available and from the material you have created. So if you have an institutional user, you are clicking on Atlas, and you will see thousands of materials that are coming from more than 5,300 that you can filter, of course, according the resources you want to explore, screens, quizzes, questions, or you can limit among your screens, your quizzes, your questions. You can navigate per region, anatomical region, or you can select according the courses you want to select this material. But of course, what I'm saying here, it is just for institutional. So if your institution is not subscribing this, you will just see your own screens. Courses, it is the same. These are the courses that are available in the institutional subscription. As you can see here, these are the courses provided by 3D4Medical, but in my case, I have a profile of a professor, and I can see, for instance, that I have other groups I have created, and I'm managing a course of human anatomy in Italian, because you can do the courses in the language you want. and I can have access to these courses, of course. And this is, again, something that is available just for institution. Then you have videos, and still remaining this part, and the videos are coming from still different courses. This is quite important because you can upload your own video, and indeed, if I'm going to my favorites, I can see a video that it is uploaded in Spanish, talking about vascularization of teeth, and with a description of this created by a fellow professor that was sharing with me this video. I will go at the end to radiology just to give you this part, but these are the parts that are still important. I will not go to this part very intensively, but I'll just show, because curriculum manager, it is maybe this presentation is more for students. So curriculum manager is for professor, how they have to build their lectures and courses. So where everyone is going, it is here. It is the model. So the model, it is landing here. The first time we are entering, we can see that we have at the bottom 12 systems that we can explore, and we can use to create the screen how we want. On the right, we have a hub to return to the main screen, I would say. The search function, where we can go straight to the structure we want. The editing tools we will go through, the library, and so on. So just to go here, just to show you how it is detailed. I said that in the summertime, we were, of course, recreating again the head and neck part. So when I'm saying that we have 17,000 structures, so whenever I'm clicking on a specific structure, for instance, I'm clicking on the ethmoid bone, you can see the details that are expressed here. This is a sort of resume information that are defining that structure. If I'm clicking here, I have the possibility to go straight to this definition that I can, of course, rotate in the way that it is more important for me, for my understanding. But this is quite interesting, of course, in terms of, okay, this is an atlas, you can argue. But the thing is that it's not an atlas, because if I'm clicking here on this menu, I can have really the idea of how I can visualize specific structure. In this case, I'm fading the other structures around, or I can simply hide the others. So I can return to that part. Or I can do also a multi-selection. For instance, I can select different bones around the ethmoid. So the maxilla, I can select the palatine, I can select the sphenoid, I can select also the lacrimal bone. I can, for instance, explore them just to understand how they are related one with the other. And this is just limited to the skeletal system. But the same thing can be done if I want, I'm exiting this, if I want to add different systems. So for instance, I can add different layers for the vascularization, for the arterial part, up to 5 layers. And if I'm clicking here on this specific part, you can see that I have the description of the infraorbital artery. I can see in this case the origin, so I can highlight the origin path of this specific artery. And as I said, I can see the branches. I can have a lot of more information about that. And of course, I can easily build the system in the way I want. If I'm clicking once here, I'm making disappear everything. Of course, what I can do, for instance, I can also imagine that I want to add all the arteria, all the venous, all the nervous, all the respiratory, for instance. As I said, I can also do something different. I can start with a dissection. For instance, I can hide that part and I can remove that part, but I can do also multi-selection. So I can start to remove different parts and I can go very directly to simulate. For instance, if I want to have a little bit more details about neuroanatomy and I want to have A description of that, you can see here on the left that I am, of course, dissecting and I'm removing the structure that are given to me a certain idea. Maybe it is too much populated of vascularization. For instance, I can remove these and these, and I can see, for instance, a quite interesting view about, for instance, here, the olfactory bulb. I'm interested to see how it is maybe related to the ethmoid bone we have seen before, and how it is related to the mucosa of the respiratory system. So in this period of COVID-19, it is quite important also to understand why we are losing with COVID-19 the sense of smell. And this could be this kind of relation. With few clicks, we can easily understand how this nervous system structure is related maybe with the respiratory, just to give you an example. So I'm not entering into many description of that, but an important part you can see is that you can move from a specific structure using a breadcrumb trail, for instance, to explore different parts and to have a different description. So whenever you see a blue point here, it means that I have removed certain areas. So one important part that I want to say, for instance, is that here we have the tools, as I said. So I have the possibility to use the pen, as I said. The pen is giving to me the possibility to be bidimensional or three-dimensional. So for instance, I'm using here just to give you an idea. So the bidimensional is remaining on the screen. The three-dimensional is at 2 that I can apply on the structure. I can use labels, as I said. So if I'm clicking here once, I can see a description of the parietal bone. But also, if I'm double clicking here on the same part, I can say, I can use my own label in my language. So the difference is that this one will have these 3 points that are with an info box that is describing to us. That one that I'm adding has no info box, but I can, in any case, complement that with a text box where I can add a description or whatever I want. And I can place it anywhere, of course. I can also, for instance, as I said, import certain images. For instance, I can have a, well, in this case, this section is not related to this part, but it's an image that I was importing, for instance, from Clinical Key. And you can also eventually copy the link of this image. So if it is related, and you can also save that. So imagine that this is a screen that it is helping me to understand something. What I'm doing, I can use 2 options. The first one is export image, which is done by the majority of platforms. So I can export an image as a JPEG on a specific resolution I want. But this is very static, so I can export to a PowerPoint exactly what I see here. Different, it is if I'm saving the screen. In that case, I'm assembling all the data I have selected to have on the screen, labels, annotation, images. I can assign a title to this image, to this screen, sorry, a description eventually. I can relate to the head for, in this case, because it's that the region I want, and I can save it in my screen, so in my library, but also I can already decide to share this specific image to a certain group. For instance, this group of anatomy in Spanish, eventually, if I'm clicking there, I'm not just saving this image there, but I'm sending a deep link to these members of this group that they will immediately receive this link. They will not have, I'm not saying, I'm not doing that because it's not relevant, but whenever they will receive that, they will go straight to the screen. So they will not see the image. They will be able to navigate everything. They will be able to remove and say, why Lorenzo has used this image that is not relevant? Let me cancel that. And they will be able to save their screen in the way that it would be more related for them. So whenever they are going here, they will find this in the library. Just to give you some other small unique features that I forgot to mention. So For instance, if let me remove everything. So one thing that I can do here, for instance, if I'm going, oh, sorry, that was, I click on this is stored. You don't need, of course, because it is something that you have whenever it's an institutional license. But one thing that you can also do, everything that you're doing on the screen, it is quite easy to be removed. Just if I'm going to pen, I can easily say clear 3D pen and clear 2D pen. We have tutorials that are available anytime. So whenever you are with certain doubts how to do something, you can click on tips here, and you have the tips how to do certain things, how to apply labels, how to do muscle motion, whatever. But things that you can do here, for instance, that it is quite important to know whenever you are using your trial is that, for instance, I'm searching for the Latin term, not necessarily the English. So, and I have this search, which is given to me a lot of, here I have all the answers that it is related to the muscular system or genital. I'm going to the cardiovascular. I wanted to see the heart. So in this case, I wanted to see the heart, and I wanted to show you just some additional features that were not present. So let me remove all the rest that I'm not interested. So let me remove also this part that was not the part I wanted. So if I'm here to I have something that I can apply. First of all, whenever I'm here, I can double click and can activate the beating heart part, which I'm not doing because I don't want to feel dizzy when I'm cutting. So these are the sectional parts and the pathological part that can be applied. For instance, if I'm using the cutting tools, I can cut this multi-layer or single layer in this case, and I can do just a separate one, a single one, sorry, or one to separate parts or a customized one. So if I'm just doing this and I'm removing that part, for instance, I have applied this just on this part because I was cutting just this part of the muscle part. So clearly, if I'm still doing that, it is still moving. But the important part is that just to show you that we can apply this to any kind of muscular part, skeletal part, any organs that we have, not to the neuroanatomy part completely as we have seen here, but you can easily do a customization of the structure in the way you want. Then you can also, for instance, apply areas of growth. As I said, you can select the size of the particle size you want. You can select the color you want to assign to these. If you have a necrosis, for instance, you can select a little bit more brown part, and you can, for instance, use this, and you can apply this, and you can see this. If I want to simulate a necrotical, for instance, tissue, I can apply that, and eventually, whenever I wanted to. I can do done, and I can, of course, save that screen, and I can share that. So these are more or less the part that I wanted to show. Very important is something that I didn't show you. It is the part of the motion, and just to understand how it can work. If I'm clicking here on that show hidden, I'm just returning to that. Clicking on home, I'm returning to the central part. If I'm going to skeletal, I can see this part. So just one thing that I wanted still to show it is that also the skeletal system has, let me remove the venous part. I'm going here to a specific bone, the humerus. For instance, you can see that here. Okay, let me go here. I wanted to go to different levels, of course, for the skeleton. So I can see the parts which are described very intensively, but also if I wanted to go to that part of the motion I wanted to mention to you that can be seen on the muscular part, I can have this origin and insertion part. So whenever I'm clicking on these colors, the red one, for instance, it is the origin of a specific muscle on the skeleton. I can see that I'm talking about the subscapularis muscle that I can see here. If I'm clicking on this muscle, for instance, I can see how it is related. It is related to the arm medial rotation. So if I'm clicking on that part, I can have, of course, an idea of the motion of that muscle together with the other muscle of the region. So, and I can fade it, I can rotate, I can see here how it is working. Of course, I can zoom differently. I can pose to the angle I want. And this is valid for the majority of muscles. So you can do that moving from the skeletal system or directly from the muscular system. So this is quite important, as I said. So you can every muscle you can see here in red, it is the origin of a specific muscle. If I click in this, I can see the other one. The blue part, it is the insertion, which is exactly the same part. So you can see how I can really build this area. I said that we have this part, but which is the motion, it is important, but also for the muscle, we have also the innervation, the vascularization, but also we have here videos that are talking about conditions of the area where they are. And these videos are explaining, for instance, the condition or the treatment. For instance, this is rotator cuff tear. It is, of course, giving to us a more an in-depth vision of the clinical part. Yeah, just to give you an idea, I don't know if I was sharing the sound, because sometimes it happens that I'm doing these kind of things without sharing the sound, but it was a description. All the videos are normally just giving a 30 seconds, 1 minute of description, that it is a sort of a resume and quick idea of what you need to know. Just one thing that I wanted to show you, it is how I can share this content. So if I'm going to the library, whenever I have saved something, a screen, for instance, in this case it's a video, but yeah, I'm here. So for instance, I can filter my screens and talking about the neck, for instance. I don't know if I saved something recently about the neck. No, exactly, sorry, about the head. I just to give you an idea of this is, for instance, a description about the glioma, so a pathological situation. So if I'm clicking here, you can see here I have this copy part. So if I'm copy link to screen, I can of course copy the screen to other groups, but if I'm copying the link to the screen, as I said here, it is copied to a clipboard. And what I can do here, for instance, I'm putting here in the chat. I'm putting here in the chat here a deep link you will be able to see. I've just sent in the chat here this link, and this link, if you have downloaded the app, it is just sending you straight to the screen that I've saved. So this is well, description about a tumor, a glioma. It is used a material in from pathology in English, of course, from CK student, but here there were description about these labels that are in Spanish, in this case, moving from the corpus callosum, just to understand where we were and how these were affecting, for instance, the optical nerve. So the important thing is that these links are not giving you a link to a JPEG, are giving to you a link to a screen that it is quite interactive. So I say, oh, I just want to have this in Spanish. I don't want to be confused with this. And when I'm going here, I can, of course, go away from the view screen mode, and I can then, of course, start to manipulate, you know, the system in the way that I want. For instance, I'm returning here to tools. There are growth area, and I can see clear growth. I don't want to see anymore the mass. I just want to understand how it works, the normal human anatomy, and I want to add eventually more vascularization. I just want to go here, show hidden, everything that it was removed, and I want to see more and more how it is, for instance, the vascularization area around the glioma. So if it is expanding, for instance, how it can affect the other parts. So just to give you an example. So as you can see, it is quite interactive. So if I'm going to the library again, I was here, I was sharing that, and automatically I was sharing this information with other members of an institutional license. Last but not least, it is the radiology I mentioned before. It is quite important that because here it is a new feature that was highly requested by our users, institutional users, because it is enabling us to navigate the human body using the different radiological images, MRI, CT, angiograms, radiograph, and mammograph, on different regions of the heart. So we launched beginning with heart and neck, adding thorax, and the last week the upper limb. We are completing the rest. So you can decide which plane, or if you want to see just sequences or all images. And whenever you are entering one of these contents, for instance, I'm going to angiogram very quickly. I can enter here, and you can see that there are two images. One, it is the image of the angiogram that you can see, and you can navigate using pins. For instance, I can go for lingual artery, or that here it is highlighted in this way, or I can easily go to the carotid, for instance, the external carotid, and I can see how it is originated, and I can see exactly how it is related with the other. So I can easily go to just to the main image to study it and to understand how I have to read that. I can, in this case, it is an angiogram, so we have just two systems, arterial and venous, but if I'm going to different images with more systems, for instance, I'm going to this sagittal through the thorax. I can navigate different images, and I can select which system I want to see. For instance, arterial, venous, or skeletal, respiratory. If I'm clicking on these pins, I can see the aortic valve, which is then here. And I can see that the good thing is that I can, of course, rotate and understand exactly how it is related with the other structures I can see here. And of course, I can move through the different sequences. Different sequences of the radiological image that I have here. So this was the most important for students. There is another part which is important for professors, but just to give you an idea, I will not go through that because this is part of the trainings we are delivering to educators. And it is this part which is the curriculum manager. So the curriculum manager is enabling professors to create courses, adding different lectures with a drag and drop system. So you are creating lecture as an educator. Students cannot do that. And you can assign lectures and courses directly to group of students. But the important part then it is that you can go to an assessment dashboard. When you are clicking here, it's the only time when you are leaving the platform and you are going here. So let me go here and I'm going to the curriculum manager dashboard. So I'm going to a dashboard that it is opening on the last content I have shared. If I'm clicking there, I'm entering with another virtual profile because I don't have even if I have a faculty profile, I don't have students to assess. But this professor is assigning material, which are lectures, but quizzes also to his group of students or different group of students he's managing. And here on the dashboard, what he can do, he can, of course, see exactly what they are doing. So how many students are reacting to quizzes or how many are really participating in this in the courses. So it is taking a lot because I was logging out before. Sorry about that. but yeah, here we go. So this is the last material. It's also an anatomy, clinical anatomy course. You can see 30 students participated, 26 answered. The important thing is here that you can see that these two questions were not quite clear to this group. You can see here how many, well, for each of these 30 students, how they have participated. You can download, so you can export these contents. You can change filter to see the different content is shared. You can see the students, how they are performing here. So, and this is a little bit quite interesting to be integrated with an LMS, depending the LMS you're using. You can see here the contents he was sharing, more than 100 quizzes, 30 lectures, and here it is managing the different groups, or anatomy class, human normal anatomy, clinical anatomy, dissection lab, revision of an exam, teaching collaboration group. Each of these, it can manage the different groups, and it can create new ones. So this was just for professor, if they are listening to this introduction about complete anatomy. And I think that more or less this is all that it is important to know about that. So an institutional license has two kind of profiles. One, it is for students, the majority, and one, it is for educators. And here you can clearly see that there are two different things they can do. One, it is just to create and share the models. One, it is to create, share models, but also assign material to students in order they can speed up their knowledge and associate this path to the standard curriculum they are following. So, Mohammed, I think that from my side, I have shown more or less whatever it is possible, very quickly, of course. Any question, any other thing that maybe you think I've missed, or maybe the augmented reality, I don't know. But there, in that case, it would be preferable to show a video.
I think you covered everything perfectly. Thank you, Lorenzo. We can have yes, we can see the video. If anyone has any questions, please, you can ask them now regarding the platform. If not, we can move ahead and show the video. But Lorenzo, when you were presenting, you did not share audio. So
yeah, I realized it could be
yeah.
an issue. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, the video are with an English voice under in that is describing. If I'm sharing, yeah. So let me stop sharing. So if I'm moving to the video, you will see also, you will hear also the sound now. So I'm moving to share this. Okay, this time it should be with sound.
Get the full 3D experience of a cadaveric dissection without the cadaver using AR in Complete Anatomy. Hit the AR mode button to get going. Move your device slowly up and down to find a suitable plane. Tap to place your model. You can rotate the model by dragging one finger across it or adjust its position using two fingers to pan. Slide the scale bar along the right-hand side to adjust the model's size. When you're ready to share your dissection, hit the Start Classroom button on the top right of the screen. Other users within range can activate AR mode and join your classroom to see your dissection. They simply place the model in the same position as the host to see what you see. A list of participants will pop up on the right of your screen as your virtual classroom grows. With the model in place, they can now follow along as you, the classroom host, take them through the key features of your dissection, just like you would in a lab. Challenge your students to identify the important structures on the model and then tap it to reveal its name and description. With multi-user AR, you can benefit from views that are not possible with traditional dissections, such as exploring a live beating heart.
Okay, that was just a note. Whenever you're using, like in my case, a Windows or Mac without posterior camera. Of course, augmented reality is not possible. You need to have a mobile device, an Android tablet or an iPad or an iPhone, an Android phone that can have the camera in front of you that can project the image outside. Otherwise, you will not have the augmented reality button.
Thank you, Lorenzo. Uh, are there any questions regarding the presentation? Any questions regarding the ongoing trial as well? Please feel free to ask them now. I will stop the recording.